Hi, everybody. Welcome to What You Need to Know. I am Sybil Wilkes, and it is Thursday, and that means it is George Wallace Day. What You Need to Know is our newsletter as well as our YouTube and Facebook live show that we do Monday through Thursday. The newsletter comes to you Monday through Friday mornings, and if you would like to subscribe, we would welcome that. We have a wonderful newsletter which includes not only news items of politics and the world, but also we have finance, health, and wellness. And also, we have Little No Black History Fact, as well as an HBCU corner, bringing back reminiscences of Tom Joyner and the life that we had before Tom, before this, when we worked with Tom Joyner for 25 years with the Tom Joyner Morning Show. So if you'd like to subscribe, please go to sybilwilkes.com and subscribe. It is very easy. Just give us your name and your email address. Does not cost a thing, and it makes for a wonderful gift for your friends and family. Everybody, please go and subscribe. And also, when they do subscribe, encourage them to open the email every day too. That also helps. So it is a wonderful Thursday. Still a little bleary-eyed from last night and staying up to watch the debate and as well as other events. But so glad to have a very special guest today. Actually, we have two very special guests, George. The first is your longtime friend and a woman that all of us have known to have come to know and love as a comedian extraordinaire and actress, and that is Marsha Warfield. Welcome.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I was wondering who you was talking about for a minute.
We're so happy to have you, Marshall. And as we introduce her every night in Las Vegas, where's she been? Where's she been? Tonight she's here with us. But you're with us tonight, and that's what's good for America. And I put my teeth in tonight. I got my new teeth in.
Oh, okay.
Those are bigger than last week, and I don't say that about most men. But those it's like you got a new set of choppers there.
No, they're the same one. I just a different view. I'm holding my camera a little closer.
You got the shakes too.
Hey, you remember there was a girl that her name was Roz something. She used to live in Philadelphia. She was a comedian. She said her gynecologist had a palsy, and his hand would shake like that, and she just loved to go to him. She loved to go to his office every week. I'm sorry.
How are you?
I am fine. How are you?
I'm great. I really am, and so excited. I don't believe that we've ever met, but doggone it, all of my comedian favorites name you as their favorite comedian, from George Wallace to Jetta Jones, Miss Dupree, and Myra J. and J. Anthony Brown. All just say, what a great comedian you are, and how you are one of their favorites, and like to call you a comedian's comedian.
Well, that's very nice to hear. And it's nice to know that my friends got my back when I'm not around, and I'm proud to call them all my friends. And I thank you. You just listed off some legends. So it's nice to be in that kind of company.
We had Myra on yesterday. She does the Facebook Live and YouTube show with us on Wednesday afternoon. And then last night we had a roundtable entirely of women. Following last night's debate, and I promoted the fact that you were coming on today, and Myra said, "Oh my gosh, Marsha and I went to school together," and just was flooded with great memories.
We go back to 1970. So that's a long, it's generations been born in that time. So it's nice to be, spoken of. And,
you guys went to high school together, Myra?
No tales out of school. Huh?
and some of the others who were on last night, Sherry Shepard and Kim Whitley and Dominique, also were very excited to hear that you were coming on with us. So
I'm sorry I missed that.
What are you doing these days?
right now, like everybody else, I'm staying in the house because, Miss Rona ain't going to get me.
Okay, good for you. Good for you.
And it's a Miss Rona and not a Mr. Rona because
Okay.
Miss Rona got feminine attitude. She's like, okay, ignore me if you want to. And so I'm not going to ignore her. I'm going to keep myself right here in my little hub and, do whatever creativity comes to me from right here.
Sybil, you need to know that Marsha, she's been away for a while, but she has her own show in Las Vegas when we go back to work, and she's still out there knocking out and killing it. And you speaking of legends, when I hit Los Angeles, one of the first people I ever met was Marsha Warfield at the Comedy Store, Sybil, 1977.
I was going to ask how you guys met. Yeah.
Yes, George pulled up in his Lincoln, in his pink and purple Lincoln.
It was Rose Diamond. It was Rose Diamond.
And I said, your pants match your car. You must be from Detroit. So I was off a little bit.
Not by much, though, right?
Not by much.
Although I suspect you knew some fellas back in Chicago dressed the same way.
Oh well, in Chicago we do what I call lime green clean.
Right.
That's when you are lime green from head to toe, above and below. They got lime green underwear, lime green hat, lime green shoes.
Right.
Everything is lime green, and sometimes it might be high yellow or pink or whatever, but it's still lime green clean.
Lime green clean. So George, do you remember meeting Marsha when you hopped out? Oh, George, you're making us seasick here.
Well, I got to stop. I got to say, I remember because when we started, Sybil, you got to realize there were only 4 or 5 of us. Nobody on TV at that time, right, Marsha?
Except Shirley had just gotten on What's Happening.
What's Happening, yeah. And Richard Pryor, that's the only blacks were on, and Jimmy Walker that were actually on in Los Angeles at the time. So we were trying to get on TV at that time. We were in the late 70s, 77, 78, and I met Marsha. We stayed out late. We went to Fat Burger. Y'all didn't even know Fat Burger late at night before we had it in Los Angeles. We would go there at 2 o'clock in the morning. Only 20 people could get in there. It was full. So I've been knowing Marsha all that time, and she's been one of the funniest ladies, and America loves her. That's why I wanted her on with us. So because I know Sybil, I didn't know you had not met her.
No, I've never had the honor.
There's so many friends in common. I had that same conversation with Myra. I've known Myra since high school, like I said. But as we worked, our paths never crossed, because every project we get to do, we get to be the only or the first.
Right.
So it's not like, you do too many shows where there are 2 black women or 2 black people, period. So almost don't ever cross. And so it's taken all these many years to make your acquaintance.
It is. Yolanda's giving me notes here, George. She wants you to just stop.
You tell Yolanda I just sit the camera down like that. How about that?
Yeah,
I'll be a little darker. I'll be a little darker. That's good.
You anyway, so
yeah.
That's great because I don't even have vertigo and I was feeling it. So I'm just saying.
Well, you go to that doctor. He'll make you feel So, what is that doctor's name? Well, yeah, it is so good.
You'll tell me later, I'm sure.
Yeah, Marsha was telling you about when we started with the few blacks. Very seldom you see more than 2 blacks on the lineup for the evening at all of the comedy stores around and the comedy clubs. And still to this day, now, we are pretty much the people that run the comedy clubs. Blacks are only the one goes out to the comedy clubs now. When they come back, they are coming back right now, but we, I guess Marsha's certainly a legend. We are trailblazers. We started before most blacks, and all we could do was get on the Tonight Show, Merv Griffin, Phil Donahue. So we were kind of clean. Nobody was really dirty back then.
He forgot about the Mooney spot. He forgot about the 12 o'clock Mooney spot.
Marsha, do you remember Paul Mooney said one night, said, well, this is true. Mooney said to himself, quoted himself, would somebody please make that nigger stop saying nigger? He said it so.
Mr. Mooney. That's how he
Wow.
introduced himself to me, Mr. Mooney. And I said, but he had the 12 o'clock spot at the Comedy Store. He had the black spot. If Richard Pryor didn't show up, Mooney had the 12 o'clock spot. And if Mooney didn't show up, then 5 or 6 of us could get on, because Mooney went on at 12 and didn't get off until he felt like it. So
Right.
we all could do 20 minutes if Mooney didn't show up.
So, what was that like? I mean, that small, well, what's seeming like a small group of people there together. What was that like? And would you ever be able to tell that story, like in a movie or a book or something?
Sure, I tell that story all the time. It was interesting. You know, there was this strange American kind of diversity, non-diversity. You know, there were different kinds of comics from everywhere. There were Native American comics and Italian comics, Jewish comics, and
Mexicans.
And redneck comics. And they were
Charlie Hill. Hey, how are you? Hey, how are you? Yeah.
Argus and Tyler and Charlie. And then the small group of black comedians, you know, we had to network between us. And so we would go from the Comedy Store to the 20 Grand. We drive out to Inglewood and find the clubs there. And Red Fox had a club for a while.
Yeah.
And then the Parisian Room was on La Brea. It was a jazz club that you could do. They had open mics sometimes. So there were some spots that we could go to and have a more urban crowd. But we worked everywhere. We did whatever we could do. And one night, a comedian named Robin Harris said, "Marsha, I can't do this no more." And I said, "What you mean?" He said, "I just can't do this waiting for Mooney to not show up. I'm going home." I said, "What you mean?" He said, "I'm going back to the hood. I'm going to start working the hood. I'm good. I'm not going to do this no more." And I'm like, "You sure?" Because we did the Comedy Store because the bookers for national television came by. And so for him taking himself out that pool at that time seemed like a suicidal mission. He said, "I don't care. That's just what I got to do." So he stopped coming to the Comedy Store. And the next thing you know, he was at the Comedy Act Theater, and he and Michael Williams had built a whole new talent pool where the black managers, agents, producers that were coming up who had just started getting their due because people like Richard Pryor, Red Fox, Flip Wilson had kicked open those doors and said, "I want certain people representing me." Well, now those people who were just coming up from the mailroom, right? Now they had their own talent pool on their way home.
Right.
Whereas the others were going to the Valley and going to Beverly Hills. They were going to Baldwin Hills and they were right on their way home. So they could go out there and find new talent. And those new talents led to shows that are now beloved, legendary institutions. And all that, from my memory, came about because Robin Harris said, "I can't do this."
Yeah, and that's where Russell Simmons came in, Sybil. Russell Simmons came in. He saw the talent pool at the Comedy Act Theater, and all of the black kids, that was a new vehicle for black kids to express themselves, because the white people really didn't accept us at that time. Talk about systemic racism. They wouldn't want us in the club. The club owners didn't want us in there. They never would want you to cuss or anything like that, because he's too black, too colored, or whatever at the time. And Russell Simmons came in. That's when Def Jam came in. Bam! Here's a new vehicle, and America went crazy over. We have our own pool of black comedians. And Michael Williams started that Comedy Act Theater. He had auditioning. He just wanted to audition like 15 people because he didn't even know there was 15 black comedians out there. And that's where everybody showed up. And that was Jamie Foxx. You just named the black entertainers they were there.
Gotcha.
Thank God for Robin Harris. He ran that club, and just it was full every night.
So let me just pause right now. I knew this was going to happen. I knew we were going to engage in this conversation, and we're going to come back and talk about this. We have another special woman who is joining us today. Okay, that is Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee of
We got to stop cussing now. We got a lady on. We got to respect. We got to stop cussing, and I got to act better.
No more handshaking, Joe.
Okay. She
You know what?
might want that number too.
She might like it, Marsha. I don't know. No disrespect to the Congresswoman, but she might like it. But we are going to talk a little bit about what's going on in our country in terms of politics. Have you been watching? Are you very interested in this election, Marsha?
Oh, I've been following it since 2004.
Okay.
We started building up. In fact, 2000, we started building up to this on this arc from then, and so yeah, I've been watching it real close.
What do you think of last night, by the way? As we're waiting for the
I thought the show was fly. That's all I'm going to say. I thought it was fly.
Well, you know, Miss Kamala Harris was holding it down, doing her thing, but I kept looking at the TV and seeing Johnny Quest. I couldn't get Johnny Quest out my head. He looks like Race Bannon. Remember Race Bannon from Johnny Quest? And all I did was see that little red mouth going. He didn't take nothing he said seriously. So I just turned it off.
So we talked about that in our newsletter. We talked about the debate last night, and if there was a clear-cut winner for most people, it was obviously Senator Harris. And
well, you know what they're saying, that the star of the show was the fly. You know, that's what they're saying. Yeah. So.
And unfortunately, the fly got blog sites. It's got its own Instagram handles. It's got memes and you name it. I
just found out, Sybil. That the fly was hired. It was a trained fly.
They trained
the fly. They trained the fly to fly in and said, "You sit there until you cannot take the odor anymore." Okay. Listen, this is a true story. This shit is true. I'm making up. Listen, they told the fly, and stop looking in the camera. It was a trained fly, and the fly.
That's funny. It was very funny. Well, among the other things we talked about was obviously the debate and Kamala Harris and how Black women, especially women and girls of color around the world, watching her last night and lifting her up and for this historic occasion, and then we wake up this morning to find out that the commission has decided, the Nonpartisan Commission on Presidential Debates has decided that they're going to go virtual next week. And Donald Trump is on Fox Business and saying, "Oh, hell no, no virtual for me." And Biden's like, "Whatever, let's just get on." Right now he says that he doesn't want to do it. In 5 minutes he says that he does want to do it, and so we'll just wait and see. But they're doing it out of an abundance of caution, of course. Because the man is still contagious. Although he says he's cured.
I don't think he has any concept of what anything is. The man is not. He's out to lunch. He's out on vacation. He's fishing. He don't have no clue. And people are saying it's because he's on the dexamethasone, whatever it is he's on.
The steroids, yeah.
He was like that long before he took a pill. The man is. It's about time for somebody to step in and go, "No, honey, it's time for your milk."
I believe he has it, and I believe he may not have had it, Sybil. He may not. I think he's so stupid that he would do this and tell the people that he has it. How can you have the virus and be in and out of the hospital in 2 days? Nobody else did it. I don't care what kind of drugs he was on. Nobody else did it. And this guy's out to lunch. He'll do anything to win. I'm telling you. This is my.
He wanted to John Wayne the coronavirus. He's like, "I'm going to show this virus
sideways."
And I'm telling you, Miss Rona is like, "You can do that if you want to." You try.
They still can't hear me.
Well, they're saying the pink eye might be with
a sign of coronavirus in the vice president.
Right.
Yeah.
Can you see me?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, don't do that hair like that. Whatever you do, don't do that hair like. She wasn't here at the beginning of the show. She doesn't know about the hair.
No, she doesn't.
Hello, everybody.
Hello,
Hello,
Congresswoman. How are you?
love you, Sybil. How are you?
I'm so good, and I bring you greetings from Tom Joyner, one of your absolutely one of his favorites, and it's good to see you. Thank you for joining us today, Congresswoman
And here,
Sheila Jackson Lee. It has been the Congresswoman for the Houston area for it's over 20 years now, is it, Congresswoman?
yes, it is. Uh-huh.
And
Yes.
so we wanted to have you on, especially because we want to talk about a couple of things. First of all, the census and how that has been extended and what that means to people who, for whatever reason, have not filled out their census forms yet. And secondly, to talk about your governor, and yeah, I live in Texas. Um, and what he did
Uh,
last week in terms of closing down the boxes in order to collect the mail-in ballots. So Congresswoman, let's talk a little bit about the census and how important, because now people are confused. What, as far as you know, what is the date now that they are saying the census will be concluded?
well, I'm going to, since I'm far away from someone, but I want everybody to know NASA saved lives. 40,000 people a day are getting COVID-19 impacted. And of course, you see, I've got the Biden-Harris
Yes,
mask.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Just want to make sure but I want to make sure you can hear me. Hello,
Damn.
everybody. Yes.
Hey, hello.
Hello,
I
everybody.
was waiting for
You
you to
know,
pull off your third
if you
mask.
ever,
How many masks do you have on?
Yes, ma'am.
this is the Oscars, the Emmys, the Grammys of voter suppression.
Yeah.
And I am absolutely stunned by the conspicuous and shamed way that we are dealing with this situation in terms of allowing people to vote. Civil. Let me say how much I love you all, you and Tom together. Give him my love, and all of you who are on. George Wallace, and it's also good to see my sister Warfield. Thank you so very much. Um, but this is absurd. So first it was the idea. Let me first start with the census, where it was first us fighting the CBC and others to extend it, to keep it the regular date so
Hmm.
that we can get everyone counted. You know, the census is in the Constitution. Every 10 years, we are directed to count the people of the United States, whoever is here, whoever is here. The census has nothing to do with you paying taxes, nothing to do with your parking tickets or your speeding tickets or owing money to the light bill or paying your student loan. It has nothing to do with that. We just want to count the people in your household. But what it has to do with, you don't get counted, your community doesn't get Head Start, Medicaid, Medicare, it doesn't get education dollars, climate dollars, it doesn't get social justice dollars so that we can use social justice money to make a difference. So we
Yes.
fought the good fight. And then begrudgingly, we fought the fight to say, oh, you can have it October 5th. But a federal court said, we're not paying attention to the oppressors. We're going back to the October 31st. And so I think everybody needs to know you can do your census less than 10 questions to October 31st. And then we have the pressure of making sure that they take those and count them and analyze neighborhoods that like our neighborhood and make sure they count every single person. If you are a non-citizen, remember the Constitution says every person, and it doesn't have the word citizen in there.
Hmm.
Let's be very clear. The slaves, they didn't really want to count our slaves. So that's why in the Constitution, we were less than one person. So that the states that had slaves couldn't be more powerful than the states that didn't have slaves or didn't have a lot of slaves, because everybody had slaves. That's why, I've introduced HR 40, the Commission to Study and Develop Reparation Proposals. But that's the answer to the census. You can be counted up until October 31st. I'm going to be opening a testing site and doing testing and doing the census, giving away food. So whenever I have anything, census.
And so you're opening up a one-stop shop. People are gonna be able to get tested. They're gonna be able to get some food, and they're,
COVID-19 testing, that's correct.
wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. You have any idea at this point what areas of the country are behind in filling out their census?
I didn't hear your question.
I was asking, do you have any idea
Well,
at this point what parts of the country may be behind in filling out the census, or is it an overall people just have not completed it?
well, I understand the census says that 99% have filled it out, but we who know the reality of it, only 60%. Uh, and those of us who know, there's only 60% in the state of Texas. Many of the rural areas, urban centers, they're not where they need to be.
Right.
We're not talking about doing a half-baked census. We want to make sure everybody gets counted, because the ones who get hurt are these inner city neighborhoods, these rural
Yes.
communities who need the resources to empower them.
As you said, it involves the giving of businesses, as getting people jobs, and the infrastructure of your cities,
Parks,
as well as
yeah.
education, and Head Start and clinics and things like that. So much is affected by these numbers.
I understand my state. I understand the state of Georgia is way behind, Sybil, as one of the states that's far behind. We need to do better in Georgia.
Is that right?
Yes.
And clearly, we're not where we need to be. That's why I'm getting ready to do a jingle. With, you may have heard of him. He ran for the United States Senate 2 years ago and almost made Texas blue. Beto O'Rourke ran for president. We're going to do a little jingle together about the census, the kind of thing when someone calls your home and you just hang up on them. I don't want anybody to hang up, but right now you can get online and you can do it by paper. So the guys that are going to come out, everything I do, I want to make sure somebody's there to tell people about the census. It's right. So very important. It really
Absolutely. Let's just do a little round robin here. George, have you filled out your census form?
Hell yeah, I did it the first day. You can do it on computer even, and I
Look
did
at that. Look at that.
And I did that immediately and I added on a few people. I don't got no children, but I got some children. You know what I'm saying?
And Marsha Warfield, have you filled out your census form?
Not yet, and I am going to, and I wanted to say why I feel it's important for me. I started doing my ancestry, family tree, and looking back, the information that's available from census records has been very valuable in tracing my family tree. So it's important for me to do it, and it's something that I had planned to do, like tonight.
Well, I'm glad that we had the Congresswoman here to move that along a little bit.
Right.
Congresswoman,
thank you. I hope you feel better about it, Sister Warfield, now that I've said how important it is.
Well, I feel wonderful about it, and I've not really been derelict. I have been following along to find out when the dates were and what the date was, and I was relieved that I still had even more time than.
We saved you because we got it extended to October 31st. You can get online and do it.
I appreciate that. That's the way it was. Like that at first, and then they moved it back, and then
But now you have a court order. It won't be changed. October 31st. Get it in, okay?
Okay. So I'm going to. You got.
Thank you.
You know, she's government. She can find you, Marsha.
Not hard to find, but I would be honored.
Congresswoman, let me also ask you, I know our time is limited here with you, and I really appreciate your coming on today, but let's talk about our governor. This is Greg Abbott, who last week exhibited one of the latest and most drastic forms of voter suppression in closing off the sites, the boxes where people can turn in their absentee ballots and mail-in ballots, correct? With the exception of one collection spot per county. And the county, if I'm not mistaken, that you live in, that you represent, is 1,800 square miles.
Oh my God.
You're absolutely right. And a brother did an analysis about Washington, D.C. versus Harris County. And they had multiple boxes, and they are much smaller than we are. We've got 4 million people, 1,800 square miles. We had 11 boxes by a very astute and committed local election official who simply wanted to make sure that everyone can vote, not respecting your neighborhood, who you voted for, your color, race, creed, religion, and did the right thing. And by the way, these 11 sites were in local community election offices. It wasn't off in the woods. It wasn't at McDonald's. It wasn't down at the local soul food site, which would have been very good. It wasn't at Frenchie's. You know, y'all heard of Frenchie's. It wasn't at the, as they say, this is it. It wasn't at the Turkey Hut. It was at
Breakfast Club. Yeah, right.
Breakfast Club. It was, we would have liked it to be at all these places, you know, restaurants in our community, restaurants in other neighborhoods, but it's in a certified official county clerk buildings. Guess what? You had to bring the ballot, you had to bring your driver's license, you had to bring an ID.
You had to bring your lunch. You had to bring your lunch.
Note from your mother.
There was no possibility of fraud. No possibility of fraud. And lo and behold, it looks like someone called him in the middle of the night and said, this looks like you got to get in the way of people voting.
Right.
You got to get an Oscar for voter suppression. You got to get an Emmy for oppression. You got to get on the radar screen of the president. He's going around everywhere filing lawsuits against people. So you got to seriously get involved. And he sent this midnight note that he was doing an executive order, which, you know, has limited impact as it relates to the law, right. That people have to shut down all but one. So that means if you're disabled, if you can't afford bus fare, but you can get a ride down the block with a neighbor, now you're precluded from that. Or you can walk down the block to maybe one of the centers that you are near your neighborhood. You're just precluded. You got to get all the way from all those miles, all the way to downtown Houston in traffic, elderly, disabled, people with children, trying to teach them online. Unbelievable. People with COVID-19, unbelievable. It is unspeakable. So we were in court today, we're in federal court today, making the argument that actions are unconstitutional. I have garnered 51 members of the United States Congress who have sent a letter to Attorney General Barr to say that this is a denial of the civil rights of this community. Yes. We're going to send out a press notice on that, but we've already sent the letter. I sent the first letter. Now 51 members, including the Judiciary Committee chairman, the chairman of the Democratic Caucus, who said, General Barr, you know, we expect that he would be the Attorney General for the poor people of America, the regular people of America. If it does, it could not in any way not determine that this is violating our civil rights. Unbelievable. So we're fighting it, and we're looking for some good news, because this is unbelievable in this nation.
Congresswoman, I don't know whether we've met before. I'm George Wallace. It's just an honor to meet you, and I just want you to know I love you. I love your work. I know you said you only had 5 minutes, and we already did 2 minutes, and I want you to know. And Sybil, you spoke of your governor. Let me ask you all a question. Do you think there's something wrong with all the red state governors? Are they crazy or what? It seems like DeSantis, Georgia, all these red state, something is wrong with them. They're losing their minds. Do you find that they're crazy also?
It is. I got something for you, so I have to keep this going. Okay. They all have been participants, vocal participants, actors in voter suppression. They have been active actors in voter suppression. The governor, the Secretary of State in Georgia that suppressed the vote against Stacey Abrams, who would have been the governor of the state of Georgia. Yes. The ludicrous behavior that is going on in the state of Texas, and the behavior that is going on in various states where they are leading out. It is amazing that their desire is to suppress the votes. But you know what? Your vote is your voice is your power is your voice and your vote. And each individual should make a voting plan, and their plan should say, no one is going to deny me the right to vote. We're going to have 1,000 lawyers across this nation, led by Eric Holder, the NAACP, the National Urban League, Sheila Jackson Lee. We're not going to allow a vote to be suppressed. And let me say this, if you're not voting the way I would like you to vote, I am fighting for your right to vote. I just got to win. And that's what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and any other elected official knows that they have to do. I just wish the sitting president of the United States would understand that we are in a democracy. That democracy is based upon not governmental people. It's based upon the people of the United States of America.
Amen.
We are, in essence, the bosses of this land, the people. Some I disagree with. I hope to disagree with some to not be disagreeable. I disagree with the militia who was planning to kidnap the Democratic governor of Michigan and propel violence, not only against her, but law enforcement. I disagree with them. But if they want to voice their vote differently from me, they have a right to do that. But I condemn their violence. I condemn white supremacy. I condemn white nationalism, but they have a right to vote. I don't understand why the individuals who are leading in these states don't understand that those of us who disagree with them have a right to vote as well.
That's right.
Sybil, I hate to interrupt you, but there was just a note on television that Nancy Pelosi is pushing a bill that says President Trump is incapable of being president.
They're talking about the 25th Amendment. Is that not correct, Congresswoman?
Pardon me?
Nancy Pelosi, your speaker,
Yes.
is talking about
and
the
we knew
25th.
that was.
I'm sorry, Congressman, can you continue?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. We knew that was coming, and that is, of course, the amendment that says that an individual is not stable enough to maintain the powers of the presidency, and that it should be shifted to the vice president of the United States, or the lineage. The lineage is the speaker, the vice president, and the president of the United States as it relates to power. And I can only say this is up to the members of the United States Congress, because this is an act under the Constitution to be utilized by the cabinet. But there is not going to be any cabinet officer that is going to do anything to stand for the American people. They are so intimidated by this president. The only person they're loyal to is him. That's not a democracy. We remember the tragedy of Ronald Reagan's shooting. He did not waste one moment for doing that, which is a transfer of power, so that he could be well. You know, I want to close with this because I hope your listeners, your viewers know that this is a life or death vote. This is not significant, it's not historic, it is life or death for this nation's survival. I hold in my hand the video that has the President of the United States calling Kamala Harris, my soror, my fellow bloc in the United States Senate, calling her a monster. This has never happened in the history of the United States. I don't care if we go back to the written word when there was no social media. If we went back to the 1890s, 1700s, the early 1800s, the 20th century, no matter what and who we're running against. I don't even think the two individuals running against Barack Obama, which was a tense time, called him a monster.
No way.
Many other things, but not a monster. This individual is not fit for the presidency of the United States. He is now said to a Black woman that you are a monster and you are the sitting nominee of a major party to be vice president of the United States. I hope that your listeners and viewers understand who they have pierced. We can accept, because we're in public life.
That's right.
Kamala will keep on running and standing alongside of Joe Biden, ready to be elected to be president and vice president. She's fine, but we should be offended. We should be nonviolent protesters, outraged with our vote, but also our voices. The radio wave tomorrow morning should not be able to be, you should even be able to get on. And that means the right-wing stations should hear from us. And they should be able to say, we seek to heal this nation. We seek human decency versus envy. We are ready to carry the nation and build it back with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. We're not going to stand for anyone to hold an office of dignity to be our president, to guide us over the cliff. We are mountain climbers and tree shakers. And I tell you, we're going to win November 3rd. I am hurt, not because she's not tough and I'm not tough. I am hurt that someone would think they could call us that when we suffered in slavery for a long, long time. Forgive me. I'm going to end on a point because I know you all going to get out there and vote.
That's right, ma'am.
Right.
And we stand with you, Congresswoman. Thank you so much for your powerful words and for
Thank you.
joining us today. Really appreciate it.
I hope I was okay. I hope I can come back.
Oh, please,
Okay.
please. The door is always open.
Next
Just reach
Thursday.
out.
Next Thursday you
Reach
can
out
come
to me.
back.
All right. Reach out
What
to
you
me.
got
I'll be ready to
tomorrow?
come back. Okay.
Thank you so
All
much.
right.
We
Love
appreciate it.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
A
That was
powerful
wonderful, Sybil. Wonderful.
Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. I'm ready to move down to Houston now so she can be my representative. I adore her. I think she is such a powerful voice, and the way she left us it just gives me ready to go out there. I want to march. I want to put on a monster face and march in front of on Black Lives Matter Plaza and,
Yeah.
and march in front of the 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And this is what a monster looks like. And you ain't seen a monster, you've seen all of us
Us.
converge on the city of Washington, D.C. and shake that building until he spits up his words.
And we should go there on January 21st and move his ass out. All we got to do is move in the neighborhood. He'll get out. He'll get out. Let's go back there. He'll get out. Let's move in the neighborhood. He'll get the hell out of there.
But this really, I mean, if we needed another reason to go out and vote, if we needed another reason, he continues day after day after day to give us ammunition
Yes.
for us. And perhaps I shouldn't use the word ammunition, but he gives us reason to go out there and to. We still have not completed voter registration in a number of states. So if you still have the opportunity to register to vote in your state, by all means do. There are some states where you can wait until the last moment. If you go to What You Need to Know or to SybilWilkes.com, we have a list of the registration dates and deadlines for you to observe.
Sybil, isn't that amazing? There are a few states that are left that you can register and vote the same day. Isn't that
Yeah.
wonderful? That's where it
Yeah.
should be. That's where it should be. I
And
would love
George,
that.
and a number of states like Hawaii, for the first time this year, our beloved state of Hawaii, they have the opportunity. It's all mail-in voting this year. Other states have online
Really?
voting.
All
Yeah,
mail-in voting.
yeah,
Online voting. Who has online voting? That's what I like. You can
yeah.
just do it by your
Oregon,
telephone. Oh, that's so
We
cool.
should be
Oregon.
because we've lost 210,000 plus
Thank you. Yes,
American citizens.
yes.
American citizens have died and they can't speak.
That's
So
right.
we can. And to give them voice and to give their families
Yeah,
some voice, we have to vote. We
that's right.
have
We
to
have to vote.
use this and say, no, you cannot have this many people with numbers growing exponentially day to day die on your watch and be rewarded. You
Yeah,
will not be rewarded for killing that many American citizens. No one, we have declared war on people who have killed less. And
yeah.
so we're going to let 210,000 plus people die without any reckoning from anybody. And all
Yeah.
it takes for me to do is go vote. You better believe if I could vote 4 times, I would.
Okay, you can
Well, he's
you
from
can cuss now.
Chicago.
You can
That's the
cuss
way.
now. You can
That's the
cuss
way
now.
he
The
do in
Congresswoman is
Chicago.
gone. Yeah,
No,
you can
okay.
cuss now. You can cuss now. She gone.
That's my
Yeah.
MO.
But this
I'm
this
designated.
damn idiot in office. This damn idiot. Yeah, it's time to cuss now. This damn idiot
Yeah,
in the office. You know, we got to talk about his ass.
I don't want the DOJ or whatever come looking for me. So I might let loose a stream. It's
Marsha
just
Warfield.
unfathomable to me that we're not outraged about that one
Yeah,
fact. There should
yeah.
be, if I had been at the debate and Pence could have said anything, 210 people did.
Right.
Whatever he said, there was
That's the answer. That's the
That's what I
answer.
said,
That's
too.
right. That's what I said.
I would have
210.
closed. I
Yeah.
would have
What
closed
you
my
say about the
notes and
economy,
just said that. Yeah.
210,000 people are dead. And half of them are in your White House now. So
Exactly.
Hello. Hello. Yeah,
you can't really
absolutely.
tell me nothing.
Well, make sure I play that number tomorrow. 210. Play that number
No,
tomorrow.
that's not.
210. That's not even funny, is it? I apologize for saying that. I apologize for saying that. Comedians go too far sometimes. I apologize for saying that.
Marsha, George was saying that you have a room in Vegas. Where can people see you once things get back to whatever the new normal is?
Whatever the new normal, whatever it is, at the LA Comedy Club, which is in the Strat. The new Strat used to be the Stratosphere Hotel, and
Okay.
it's on Wednesday and Thursday nights at 10 o'clock. I would have a show there. My experience with 2 very funny young comedians, Stephen Roberts and Skills Hudson, and we were doing it for about 3 years. And we were the first. I was the first Black comedian with the show on the Strip before Monique.
Wow. Wow. What that's
And I'm not going to let her get away, Sybil, without, she works with me quite a bit too.
And I also had the pleasure and privilege of working with Mr. George Wallace at the Westgate. And we were doing that pretty well until all of a sudden that Miss Rona said, yeah, y'all need to just take a break now.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just sit
She was
down.
my number one, Sybil. She was my number one.
Well, that,
And
that
guess what else we're going to do? When Miss Rona goes away, yes, we are. The two of us, we're going to hit the road and be
Nice.
out together. Yes.
Nice.
I'm ready. I'm packed.
Nice.
About that.
I got my bag right over here. They right over here. Ready to go.
And we're ready for you, Marsha. I am like I can probably go back and find some tapes in my house of Night Court and your performances on that show. I'm just such a fan of yours and your work. So it has been a real pleasure to have you on here. I hope you will come back.
I
hope she does
Thank you
too.
so much for having me.
This is wonderful. Sybil, let me tell you why this is of significance. We got SW, MW, and GW on the show tonight.
That's
All
right.
W's. That's amazing.
The three dubs.
The
That's
three
right.
dubs.
Unfortunately, we do have some business and want to convey our condolences. Speaking of coronavirus, Erica Stacy on Facebook has relayed to us that she had 3 family members who died from coronavirus, as well as the others who are joining us and telling us their story. And so, and as you said, Marsha, that's 210,000 reasons to go out there. And I say that's over 210,000 lawsuits that should be filed against this administration for letting this happen.
Right.
Because as Vice President 2B Harris said last night, you knew on January 28th, you knew, Donald Trump knew, and you did not tell us about
Exactly.
that. And you said you wanted to
didn't
keep it
stop
calm.
it either.
That's right.
The United States of America has so many resources that we did not deploy. That we
Right.
did not deploy in the federal way, in a
Right.
coherent way, in a cohesive way, and it's just criminal. It's just
It is
It's
criminal.
criminal.
It's
It is
mind-boggling criminal that how could this happen, and how come everybody's not outraged about this? No matter what you believe about anything else, no matter what you
Yeah.
believe about racism or sexism or whatever, taxes, economy, 210,000 plus American citizens are dead on this administration's watch. That should be the end of the conversation.
Yeah, that's it. Like you said last night, that's just say that number, and then you sit back and watch, because that was it is criminal. George, I want to thank you once again for coming on today and for bringing Miss Marsha Warfield with you. And
I'm going to do that. I'm going to bring on somebody that we need to know. But I'm going to do that quite often. I also got to let you know that as of right now, $10 billion Kamala Harris fly swatters have been sold as of right now. $10 billion Kamala Harris fly swatters have been sold as of this moment.
that is
buy
crazy.
some stock in that.
Marsha Warfield, please come back anytime. It's been a real pleasure and an honor to have you with us, and appreciate you as always, George Wallace. So
I
thank
really
you.
enjoyed tonight. Thank you so much. I love you, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it.
And I also want to thank Congresswoman Sheila Jackson-Lee for coming on and giving us our marching orders there as well. You guys go out and have a great weekend. Please don't forget to register and subscribe for the What You Need to Know newsletter. And because this is how we make our living, and we're trying this because, you know, like millions of others, we're out of work, and so we would appreciate your your giving us your support by subscribing. We will see you guys. Have a great weekend. I don't know what you're eating, what you're doing with those choppers that you
They were M&Ms, but now they're